Welcome into Running It Straight, folks, for your Wednesday, the 22nd of May. We're talking rugby league up until 3 p.m. Myself, Sam Hewat, alongside Anthony Gelling, and fresh off the back of a very, very tasty and sumptuous win for the Warriors over the Penrith Panthers in Magic Round in Brisbane. We're going to cover all of that off. Special guest this afternoon, Mitch Barnett, going to join us after 2:30. He played the captain role with the incumbent Tohu Harris out with injury. He played that on Sunday, did a fantastic job, and really has been having a great 2024 Origin selection on the cards. Might be your first question, Jello, is whether or not Michael Maguire's just dialed the number.
I'm dying to ask him. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure there's been conversations. Origin team name.
So you know what? If he makes the Origin team, okay, I've always been a Queensland fan, but if he makes the New South Wales team,
that's enough.
I will be backing New South Wales.
Wow.
I've only ever made that exception one other time, and it was Brad Fittler's comeback game. I think it was 2004. He came back for 2 and 3.
Right, teams named on Sunday. That's an interesting backflip from you, Jello. Do you want to take that to anyone from Queensland or New South Wales? They'll crucify you for making the switch. Pick and stick. You got to pick and stick. But that's going to be very interesting on Sunday evening when those two teams do come out because of the injuries, right? So many people out. Cam Munster, the latest over the weekend for Melbourne.
It's almost a fight for the underdog tag. Like everybody wants that underdog tag, and it's like, well, we got more injuries than you. Not as bad as our injuries. Cam Munster being the big one, I think, for Queensland.
Yeah, the casualty ward's turning into a bit of a hospital at the moment, to be honest, across the NRL. We're going to talk about Magic Round very, very shortly. We'll preview the Dolphins game this Sunday and have a look through the team list, which is probably the biggest talking point out of that Penrith win for the Warriors. Ken's already texted in saying, calm down, boys, you're only in 13th. The Warriors did play well, but the Panthers had one of those days.
Get out of here, Ken.
We'll tuck into that very shortly. The other thing we want to do, Jello, the TAB put this out on their social media channels over the weekend. I thought it was an awesome little idea. If you want to jump on that promo, just go to their Facebook page and basically asking people to give their all-time Rugby League 13 based off players that have start with the same letter of your first name. So for me, it would be players all beginning with S.
So is that their first name has to begin with S?
Yeah, so for me it'd be, Scotty Sattler and Scott Prince. I
was thinking this because you could almost make a whole team just full of Sams as well.
Do you reckon though?
And I could make a whole team full of Anthonys.
I'll tell you that. Do you want me to tell you mine? Because I've already come up with it and it'll give people an idea. It might give you an idea as well.
Yeah, go on.
I had to change things around a little bit. So I've got Scotty Drinkwater. Actually, fullback was the hardest position because there's not a lot of S's floating around the fullback ranks of all time. So I've got Scotty Drinkwater as my number one.
Okay.
I've got Sally Radrada on one side, and I've got Sean Kenny Dow on the other.
That's really
Those are my
good.
two wings. I did have Sam Perrott, but I changed him out for Sean Kenny Dow. Yep. I've got Stephen Crichton and Steve Matai in the centres, the two Steves. I thought I needed to put Steve Matai in there.
Yeah, some strike power.
Crichton and Matai. My halves are Scott Prince and Stacey Jones. Now, I always think when you are doing anything like an all-time 13 or like a Warriors, it's always Stacey or Sean. Because they both play 7, and this whole idea that, one plays 7, one plays 6. It's like they both play 7. That's the position that they play.
Yeah.
Scott Prince played 6 for about 67, 70 games. So that's enough for me to say he can play 6. At the
Tigers?
Titans? I think it was more so at the Titans, yeah. I'd looked up his stats.
Oh, okay.
Obviously, he was more of a 7, but he did play 6 for like 70 games. So that's enough for me to put him in the number 6 jersey in the Sam all-time 13. So Scott Prince 6, Stacey Jones 7. In the props, I have Sam Burgess, of course, and Steve Price. Now, who do you think my number 9 is? S. There's not a lot of good... number 9 and fullback were the two that I struggled with.
Yes.
Old school. Not old school, but a while ago.
So, 2000s.
I think it might have been pre-2000s as well.
You tell me the club?
Yep. I just got to make sure I get it right. But yeah, fullback and hooker. He actually did play for the Warriors. One season, I think. And he was Raiders, mainly Broncos. Started
Sean Berrigan.
Sean Berrigan, yeah.
I played with Sean Berrigan.
Did you?
I was so lucky. The year I played Cup at Warriors, he got dropped down to Cup.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
He played in 2011, of course, with that.
He was
grand
the man.
Season. Yeah, it's a good
Clive
number.
Churchill winner. He's the man.
Steve Menzies and Sonny Bill in the second row.
Ooh.
Yeah, and Simon Mannering, another 13.
Yeah.
So that's my 13, beginning with S. So if you want to send yours through, 8833, and Jello, you got to put one together of A's. Have you put one together, or are you thinking about? Are you going to do it throughout the show?
I've got a couple names already. Like Andrew Johns straight at number 7.
Yeah, he's in there straight away.
And I'm thinking Anthony Minicello fullback too.
Minicello. I'll put him in there.
I've kind of got half a spine together, but come back to me.
Andrew
come back to me.
Andrew McCulloch. There's quite a lot of
Fafita's a good shout.
All right, so Jello will put that together over the next hour. You can text yours through on 8833. So it's your first letter of your first name, and you've got to put a team together, a 13, just based on that. Let's wrap Magic Round. Actually, let's start with the Warriors game, Jello, and then we can have a look at some of the other big ones across the weekend. So 22 points to 20 over the Penrith Panthers. We've talked about it a lot earlier this week, but I haven't caught up with you since the result, mate. What impressed you the most about it?
Just the resilience to like, this is something that they've had all year, was to keep themselves, even the games that we have lost, we're always within a try. Mm-hmm. We can always pull it back at some point. At that game, there were so many opportunities for us to just kind of wave the flag. So the resilience that something we've had all year to keep it tight, but then the execution we didn't get many chances at their line. The execution to hit those plays and score those points, the crucial ones at crucial times that we needed, that's what impressed me. And that's what's been missing the last few weeks, is we can get down there and it's ugly. It doesn't get converted into points. But when Tane scored his try, that was special.
Well, I thought Ali Lautoa's one was very nice as well.
Yeah.
So here's the big question, Jello. The execution, which Andrew Webster's talked about a lot over the last couple of weeks, not being there, as opposed to a game plan type thing. He's basically said it's just we're not executing well. But clearly they did it on Sunday against the best defence in the league and the 3-time reigning premiers.
Yeah.
What do you put it down to? Is it the fact that they almost had nothing to lose? Is it the fact that, hey, almost by happenstance, it just worked for them and everything clicked? Or is it, I guess, the more pressing question of those positional changes? Was it having, Chance in the 6 jersey? Was it having, Tane number one, like a different a style of number one? Can you put your finger on why it actually came together? I
think those changes were a breath of fresh air, and it unlocked us to, without SJ there, it allowed us to have a crack at the left edge, which was awesome to see. Like, I haven't seen the stats on how favoured our right edge is. I had a look at that, the Rugby League eye test guy, to see if I could find something. He has some form of autism or something. Those stats goes so in depth. I was reading his explanations and analysis. I went cross-eyed doing it.
Do you want me to tell you where the tries are scored for the Warriors, the percentage? Because I've got it up here for you.
I'm assuming it's heavily favoured to the right side.
42% on the right side, so that's 15 from 36 tries, 13 in the middle.
Yeah.
So you'd say those two, 28 of 36 tries on the right and just 8 on the left. So
just 8?
Yeah.
For the
Across,
season?
what's that, 11 games?
8 tries for the season. Yeah, see. So it was awesome to see that left side having a go. But it's the first time too that the team hasn't, or first time in a long time, that they haven't had the expectation to win. So most of this month, I think post the Seagulls game, we had the Titans, the Knights, the Dragons.
Yep.
And people are thinking, all right, this is our chance to rack up some easy wins here. And we came away from that with 0 points.
Yeah.
And so it makes that win against Penrith even more special, that we were able to, come out of the easy period with nothing, but, up against Penrith, Magic Round, big game, walk away with 2 points. That's really special. But
well, I'm not suggesting for a second here that you drop Sean Johnson. I mean, he comes back on the side as soon as he's fit, Jello. But there is a point to be made, and I think Sats mentioned this to us over the weekend, that without Sean there being the focal point of essentially the whole attack, the other players had to step up and had to be creative and had to work out which side to go and how to do it, whereas, that's generally all on Sean. So, what can they learn from this for when Sean comes back into the team? Like, is it moving Chance to 6, or is it, Tamaiti playing a different type of style, or letting Sean actually give a bit more responsibility to the guys around him?
I think it's just Tamaiti playing full stop, because when Sean was there, it was obvious that he was just taking a back seat to that. And I think this is the opportunity that he needed to step up and really take control. And I think if Sean was to come back now, if Tamaiti plays with the same confidence that he had against Penrith at Magic Round, the two of them working together like that, where we can attack both sides, he can take options, that's going to unlock us, I think, a lot more.
Do you think that's a real season definer / shifter for the Warriors?
I hope so. But It's only showed the week after if it was a fluke or if it was a change, because you get that in sports all the time. Sometimes it's a one-off, but you see if it's, we'll see this weekend if it was a shifter or a defining moment.
Well, the Tigers did it last year, right? They beat the Panthers, still finished with the wooden spoon, so it happens. Lots of texts in here, and I will just put my hand up and say it's poor form on my part, but a lot of people saying, how could I forget Steve Walter in the number 9 jersey in my all-time team. Probably a bit before my time, so that's probably why he doesn't feature in my team. But I do take everyone's point that he might be a better option than Shane Berrigan. And I think Simon sent through his 13, which I'll go through a little bit later on. Someone's actually asked you, Joe, would you pick Andrew Johns or Alfie Langer?
Oh, I just got to say that, as you were saying.
Yeah.
But the 2 sevens things, I was thinking, oh man, I can't
did
have
Alfie
Alfie
ever play,
and
did
Andrew
Alfie
Johns.
play 6 at all?
I don't know. Nah, he didn't. He was always a 7.
What about Joey? Did he ever play?
Nah, he's out.
I can tell you, Alfie played 2 games at hooker.
I was going to say it would be hooker or halfback.
Yeah, well, we'll keep working away at that. If you do want to text through your all-time 13 of players starting with the first letter of your first name. Other games across the weekend, Jello. I thought the Sharks-Roosters game sort of delivered on all the hype. 38 points to 30. Sharks got up over the Roosters. Real deal for me. I said after they beat the Storm, I want to see them beat the Roosters before I put that contender tag on them. And it was tit for tat the whole game. And then the Sharks sort of came back towards the end. I thought that was a cracker.
That was a really good game. In the last 10 minutes, I think it could have gone either way. I think it was 32-30 with...
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
with
3 minutes to go.
3 minutes to go, yeah. But Big Hazelton, who would have picked that
Tommy
last
Hazelton's
try?
try-scoring machine, man. The guy's on an absolute tear in 2024.
I always feel like with New South Wales too, there's always... The 17th man always goes to whoever's in form. It's like the Tom Leroy Lars or someone who's just thereabouts. He might be a shout,
Okay, yeah, Tom Hazelton. The thing I liked across most of the games, Jello, apart from the Eels and the Storm game where the Storm ran riot, and then I guess the Dolphins-Tigers game towards the end. Before that, I think the biggest margin was that 8 points Sharks-Roosters. It was 4 points in Raiders-Bulldogs, 1 point in Seagulls-Broncos, 4 points in Knights-Titans, 8 points in Sharks-Roosters, 6 points Rabbitohs-Cowboys, 2 points Warriors-Panthers. All really tight games, up until sort of those last 2 across Magic Round.
Well, that rugby league eye test thing, so I had a look and it said I think it was round 8, it was something like an average of 20-point margins in the games. So there was a round of just blowouts where everybody either got a hiding or really dished it up to someone. And then for Magic Round, all those margins were down to, I think it was like 8 points max.
Yeah.
It shows how important it is going into the last 10 minutes. Like just the execution is.
Yeah.
And how important it is to defend your line when you have to. If you've got a lead or a slight lead and you've just got maybe 1 or 2 sets just to hold your line and keep teams out.
Well, for me, the game that epitomises that is the Cowboys-Rabbitohs, because the Cowboys in that game completed at 69%. They missed 51 tackles, and they still beat them. You know what I mean? There's something to be said about that. I mean, the Rabbitohs are going horribly, in 2024, but to your point, it's like just being resilient on defence makes a massive... And look, the Tigers against the Dolphins, I think Benji summed it up by saying that they're beating themselves, because I actually thought the Tigers at times played better than the Dolphins. They put themselves in great positions to score, but it was just, a bad pass. And then particularly on defence, just a couple of lazy moments from guys in the middle, because that's where a lot of the attack came from the Dolphins, was straight up the guts.
Yeah. Well, Dolphins are very resilient on their line. When they're on their try line, they can turn teams away. But the Cowboys, they're weird. They're an anomaly statistically, because most teams, if you look at the bottom 8, those teams that are in the bottom 8 don't score enough points to win games. So they're all scoring 20 and under every week. Yeah. Except for the Cowboys. They can pile points on, but just cannot do it defensively.
Like the Titans of old.
Yeah.
Just before we go to our first break, Jello, Brad Arthur, so a bit of news coming out of the NRL this week. Brad Arthur sacked as Eels coach, Wayne Bennett confirmed as Rabbitohs coach. But look, I think me and you sat down at the start of the year and said who's under the most pressure this year. We circled Jason Demetrio first, Brad Arthur second, and I think we had Todd Payton third, funnily enough, because we were talking about the Cowboys underachieving for another year. So two of the 3 have fallen over. Do you reckon Todd Payton's... What's his future like throughout the rest of 2024?
I'm not too sure, man. I don't know what it's going to look like for him. But the Brad Arthur one's a funny one, because I think the timing of it, like when the whole Wayne Bennett thing, everyone's kind of asking where he's going to go. And Eels even said, for 3 weeks they were trying to get him. I think there's a chance that they might have let Brad Arthur go thinking, I think we've got Wayne.
Wow.
Maybe. I don't know.
Potentially.
But it'll be interesting to see who takes over at the Eels, because I know Trent Barrett's in there for now. He hasn't had a great run with all the teams he's been at.
Yeah. Just a couple of texts had to come in here. One from Tony says, guys, I'm a big Wires fan, but let's just take a breath. Awesome result, but the Panthers were shocking by anyone's standards, not just theirs. I think it shows how important Metcalf is to us. From Tony, I don't actually particularly think the Panthers were terrible. I think the Warriors forced them to be bad. Sure, they made some bad errors. One thing that also stuck out for me, Jello, was the fact that we negated in that game. We no stupid penalties, and when they were trying to get out of yardage, no bad knock-ons in the bad areas of the park. That's something that's killed the Warriors over the last few weeks, and it hasn't. I think the point that people should take on board here isn't so much that everyone's really excited that the Warriors are back on track. It's the fact that what you were just talking about before, Jello, where they've been playing really well, not getting the results. They had a tough period against teams that they probably should have beat, where just the execution wasn't there, and perhaps on Sunday you saw things come together. And was showing what can happen when the team plays to their potential. So I don't see it as this one. It's not like last year with the Tigers, who were dead last in the competition, never looked like getting a win, come out and upset the Panthers, then they go back to being the Tigers. This is a team that we're waiting for everything to just click and work, and we may have seen a taste of it on Sunday. We're getting players back after the bye in 2 weeks' time. Maybe it's, like I said, a bit of a changing of the tide.
Yeah, I think so. That's very well said. And I think, like I said earlier, every game that we've lost, we've been thereabouts, we've been close, and we're just waiting for that last little piece to click. And it clicked against Penrith. So we'll take that win, and hopefully it keeps clicking.
Hopefully. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll tuck into the team lists for Warriors and Dolphins with some changes for the Warriors and how they stack up against the Dolphins, who are a top 4 team right now, potentially committing some ladder fraud, but we'll have a discussion around that.
You say that every week, and they keep proving you're wrong.
Mitch Barnett's going to join us at around about 2:35. Stay with us here on Running It Straight. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back into Running It Straight, 25 after 2. Mitch Barnett's going to join us in around about 10 minutes' time. Before we get to him, though, we'll have a look towards this weekend on Sunday evening, New Zealand time, 6:05 kickoff at Go Media Stadium, Mount Smart. It is the NRL's Indigenous Round. We do have live commentary of that game as well on SENZ. The team lists for both sides, starting with the Warriors. Tane Tuopiki does stay in the number 1 jersey. Dallin and Marcelo on the 2 wings. Rocco Berry comes back into the centres. Now, people have been asking, why is Nelly Latoa there? Broken ankle, fractured ankle? He's out for a month and a half, I think. And apparently he played on with it too.
Yeah, I know. Good on him, man. It was almost the same thing as his debut, like almost exact same. So in his debut, he got injured.
Did he? I don't remember that. Yeah, against Jared Croker.
Against Canberra, yeah. So he done a very similar injury, and then that was all we saw of him.
Oh man, he's such a great player. I hope he does come back and get some more first grade experience. Adam Pompey staying in the number 4 position. Then Chancellor Cook starts, Tamati Martin in the halves, so unchanged in the halves. Adam Whanua, Blake Buntiafoa, the 2 starting props. Freddie Lussick, Wade Egan failed that HIA, so he's got the 11-day stand down. Freddie Lussick will take the number 9. Jackson Ford, Mitch Barnett in the second row. Dylan Walker in the number 13. Tohu Harris still dealing with that broken finger. Tom Arlett, Jazz Tavanga, Jacob Laban, and Marata Niokore back in the team. He has been a massive absence for the side, particularly off that interchange. He is the number 17. What do you make of the 17 Jello, and a couple of changes there as well? I
make of it, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Don't mess with success. I think that's a great lineup. These boys, Chan's in the 6 jersey. Like I honestly didn't think they were going to play him there last week. I thought they might have switched him up, but
no, you did say, and I was walking around saying that as well. I said, from Anthony Gelling, that's
he'd done a really good job. Freddie in at 9, his first game back since his suspension.
Yep.
The head knocks with Wade. I talked about it a couple of weeks ago. I think that might be his origin chances.
I saw a stat: 13 HIA since 2021. He's failed 6 of them. So.
I hope he's going to be all right. But great to see Marata back as well. He's been very missed.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you feel Paulie Roach is slightly hard done by, given how he performed?
Definitely. Yeah, he played really well. I know. Throughout the year, there's always been some last minute changes. So, we might see Paulie Roach back on the bench. I'm not too sure, but the impact that Marata. That he brings and what we've been missing, because a lot of times when we play and we hit that short ball close to the line, people go, oh, why do you keep hitting that short ball? It's doing nothing. When Marata's there, it's different.
Yeah,
because
100%.
one-on-one, he's busting through and he's scoring, and teams know that. So when he's close to the line, they have to account for him, and that opens up the space out wide.
Yeah.
So now that he's back, I think we'll see our shapes being a lot more effective.
Do you think, you just mentioned if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If the Warriors were to get a win this weekend, that puts a lot of headaches in the mind of Andrew Webster come the game after the bye round, because he'll then have to make the call as to whether or not he sticks with that or he goes back to type. Because you're getting, Tohu's coming back, Sean's coming back, Murata's back now. There's a couple others that are coming back in round 13. So
it's a good headache to have.
It is.
It's a good problem to have.
We're going to be sitting here, it's going to be a lot of discussions over what that team should look like.
Could you imagine that, though, if this team here just, with no Rog, with no Tohu, with no Sean, just kept winning? What would you do? You got all your salary cap sitting out on the bench.
It's hard, Joe, but you see this with other teams as well. Like, what about the Newcastle Knights, right? They've won 4 on the bounce without Kalen Pong. David Armstrong. Well, I'm just, do you change it if it's broken? I don't know, but it's Kalen Ponga or it's Sean Johnson. The Dolphins side, the 17, Hamisa Tabuai-Feta, who starred in the Tigers victory, is in the number 1 jersey. Jermaine Asako and Jack Bostock, the 2 wingers. Jake Averillo, Herbie Farmworth in centres. Cody Nikorima and Isaiah Katoa, the 2 halves. Then you've got Jesse Bromwich and Mark Nichols pairing the front row. Jeremy Marshall-King, the hooker. Felice Kofusi, Ewan Aitken in the second row. Max Plath, the 13. Josh Kerr, Kenny Bromwich, Ray Stone, Connolly Lemuelu are the interchange. So no outs for them following the win against the Tigers. Do you look at that 17 and get a little bit worried, Jello? Or
not so much worried. They're a very good defensive team, and they've got points in them because they've got the hammer at the back there, in Farnworth as well. So even just from loose ball being picked up with that guy's speed, that's at least maybe 2 tries to account for. So I think to win this game, Warriors are going to have to score north of 20 points just to be safe. Speaking of hard done by, I say Paulie Roach was hard done by. What about Trey Fuller?
Yeah,
the fullback. He
didn't have a contract. I wonder if there's something to do with not being contracted.
Oh, okay, because he was going really good.
Oh, he was
awesome to watch. But yeah, as soon as the hammer back, he gets chucked back to the bench.
Maybe Trey Fuller will end up at South Sydney next year. Just when Uncle Wayne packs up his things, and then Latrell goes into the centres. You're right though. The teams that have beaten the Dolphins so far this year, the Broncos scored 28. The Cowboys scored 43 on them. The Seagulls beat them. The Knights beat them 18 points to 14. But from memory, that was a bit of a wet and scrappy game.
That's every Knights game.
Yeah,
they win. Knights win by 4 points, 6 points every week.
So what do you reckon?
What's your prediction? Because you said there's a case of ladder fraud going on here.
Yeah. Well,
who is it that the Dolphins have beaten?
Yeah. Right. So if we go back to the beginning, they beat they lost to the Cowboys in the first game, 43-18. They beat the Dragons 38-0. They beat the Titans 30-14. They beat the Tigers 26-16. Then they lost to the Broncos, beat the Eels, lost to the Knights, beat the Cowboys again, only by 2 points, beat the Seagulls by 6 points, and then beat the Tigers again over the weekend. So, they literally haven't beaten anyone inside the top 4, perhaps even the top 8 if I'm looking at it like this, apart from the Seagulls. So, ladder fraud?
Perhaps.
Question mark?
Yeah, perhaps.
Perhaps.
But throughout all those games and all those scores, they are a good defensive team. They might not have the points to beat the big teams, but they can defend. So, I think the Warriors are going to have to really be on the ball to win this.
What's your prediction?
I think Warriors in a close one, 1-12. I think we do have the points in us to win the game, but not the points in us to absolutely blow it out.
Okay. I like it. 1-12 Sunday afternoon. Warriors v the Dolphins. We'll take a break here on Running It Straight. When we come back, we're going to catch up with Mitch Barnett. Plenty to talk through with him. Of course, the win on Sunday, the next couple of weeks for him, and a potential Origin call-up. We might ask him if he's had the phone call from Michael Maguire. Stay with us here on Running It Straight. 23 minutes away from 3 here on Running It Straight. And just a text that's coming from Sean saying, fellas, given the success of this year's Magic Round in Brisbane, could you see NZ hosting a Magic Round, Jello?
Not anytime soon, please. I'd like a little trip to Brisbane. I don't want to get the call up and it's at Mount Smart. I'm there every day. Thank you.
You don't want the junket down to Christchurch. One person who would have enjoyed his time over in Brisbane for sure is Warriors. I don't know whether to call him a front row or a second row, Jello, because he's playing everywhere at the moment. He played captain as well on Sunday. It's Mitch Barnett. He joins us on the show now. Mitch, welcome in.
Oh, how are you?
Oh, mate, we're doing well. I just said you would have had a great time over in Brisbane. I understand you guys flew out pretty quickly after the game, but you've had a bit of time to, I guess, sit back and digest the win against the 3-time reigning premiers, mate. The boys must be pretty fired up.
Yeah, unfortunately we didn't get to go have a few drinks afterwards. We're straight on the plane, but it was a good win. Obviously, the boys were fired up, and keen to go again this week.
Hey, Barney Jello here, mate. Hey, with the whole captaincy thing, did that change anything in your prep leading up to the game? Like, did you feel like you had to have some big speech ready before the boys went out, or have something up your sleeve if things didn't go to plan?
I've been writing stuff down for about 10 years, Jello. Nah. To be fair, Jello, no, it doesn't. I just, my role doesn't change, and there's plenty of good leaders at the club, so anyone could sort of step into it. I'm lucky enough to get to do it, and my role doesn't change too much.
Mate, coming up against Penrith and so often teams, can find themselves in front and the Panthers do what the Panthers do and just sort of, run them down towards the end. What sort of conversations were you guys having, in the huddles, and particularly after Tane scored that sort of go-ahead try? What sort of stuff were you guys saying in the huddles to make sure you could, get over the line?
Look, we felt confident the whole time. I thought our game was really pulling them apart, and we just needed to take our opportunities. But we really had a focus on our defense and really just sort of putting effort into that. So that was working for the majority of the game. So we just needed to stick to it and not make so many errors. Every time we made an error, we invited them down. So it's sort of limiting their opportunities. And we did that for the most part. And I think it was an entertaining game for everyone to watch.
What's the before the injuries and stuff? I know there's been a lot of reshuffling. For you personally, front row, back row, just kind of go where you're needed. Where do you prefer to play? What's your favourite position?
Yeah, it's interesting, Joe. I sort of used to love playing on the right side in the back row, but since I moved to front row, it's probably the front row now. I think the game's changed where my body type has sort of become a bit more of the modern day front rower. So. But it honestly doesn't worry me, mate. As long as the team plays well and we get the win, I'll play anywhere.
How are you enjoying your time at the Warriors so far? Like, I think it was 9 years since you debuted at Canberra. And, you're living a long way from home now. You're a father, about to be a father again. Congratulations. Do you still love the game? How's it changed for you over the years or since you debuted?
Yeah, so it's changed a lot, Jello. I think I love the game more now being away from my family, sort of over here in New Zealand. Like, it sounds stupid, but, I feel like I'm over here for a purpose, and that's sort of in Newcastle. I had that for a lot of years, but later on I sort of got pretty comfortable being close to family and living a good life. I think sort of moving away has made me mature. Obviously having kids has sort of helped me mature as well, but yeah, now how my love's changed for the game is, I enjoy the professionalism and seeing, what it does for my son. He's Warriors fanatic and he's only 2 years old, loves them. So going out and playing and representing him every day sort of, gets me up and puts a smile on my face. So we're loving it.
A few messages that have come in, Mitch, when we see we were getting you on, and some of them revolve around two of your teammates, Jazz Tavanga and Dylan Walker. Sort of see what they bring off the bench to a game. You and Eden obviously do a role in the front row, and then sometimes it's you coming off for them, or sometimes they're on with you. What do they bring, I guess, from a teammate point of view, their game style, their energy when they come onto the field at those sort of crucial moments?
Not a great hairline is what they don't bring. But, the boys obviously bring some leg speed and just mature heads. I think, when you're when you sort of get later on in your career, the mature head just sort of thinks calmly under pressure, and those boys have just been doing a terrific job. I thought Walks was outstanding on the weekend when he started in a sort of bit of a different role, and then Jazz come on, and I thought he really changed the game with his defence. He was forcing errors and hitting people around the ball, and that's just what we need him to do. And them boys, just the energy they bring day in, day out around training is awesome.
Now, I mentioned that you, or Jello's mentioning your time over here in Auckland, and I mentioned you would love Brisbane, mate. It would have been pretty depressing, though, coming from those 22-degree days, fresh sun, to the storm that we had in Auckland arriving home, mate. I bet you missed the sunshine over there.
The rain seems to follow me. We had a camp in Central Coast, and it rained the whole time we're there, and it's sunny here every day, and even had a purple pink sky at one night. We're all gone. But I come back and it's pissing down rain, so I can't win at the moment. But good weather this afternoon, so loving it.
Everybody's dying to ask about the Origin stuff, all right? But I'm like, if I ask you, do you think you deserve an Origin jersey? I think that's a silly question, and you're a very humble man. I think you just give me a silly answer back. But in all honesty, what would it mean for you, Mitch Barnett, growing up in Wingham, New South Wales? Your background, your family, your love for the game. What would it mean for you pulling on a Blues jumper this year?
Oh, it'd be massive, Jello. I'd be lying if I didn't say that's something I, always dreamt of. It'd be, a massive thing for me, and not just me and my family, but it's something I've always wanted to do and achieve. So, if that opportunity comes, Jello, I'd be over the moon. And if it didn't come, I'd be disappointed, but sort of not disheartened. I know I've done everything I can to put myself up for selection. So, whatever happens will happen. And, I trust in, Madge, whatever team he picks, whether I'm in it or I'm not, it'll be the right team for game one.
So I think they're announcing the team on Sunday. There hasn't been any chat yet?
No, so I spoke to Madge a couple of weeks ago, but there's nothing on selection. He just sort of was just sort of a meet and greet and what he was wanting to bring to the Blues and what direction he was thinking, and then he just asked, if I was picked, what I could sort of add, and that's sort of the gist of it.
I reckon if he called you and told you that you were playing, you wouldn't tell us anyway. You're an absolute fault.
I wouldn't, but he definitely hasn't, and nor should he. Like I got a lot of I still got a lot to do. I've got to get through this game on the weekend. I've got to play well, and we've got to get the win. So that's the focus for me at the moment.
Mitch, interested to hear from a player's perspective. There's been so many injuries this year across the NRL, particularly, a lot of stars out, and that's going to influence Origin too. Have you guys, I guess, talked about or tried to pinpoint why that has been? I know there's been talk about the pitches being a bit softer over in Australia with all the rain. There's talk of the game being faster. Can you sort of, I guess, pinpoint why we may have seen as many injuries as we have this year?
Oh, man, I have no idea. I feel like it's just, it's a roller coaster rugby league. I feel one year there's a lot of injuries, some years there's not as many. But a lot of the thing I put it down to now is the game's sort of so fast, and a lot of the the superstars of the game are sort of them fast twitch athletes, and that's why you sort of the workload and all that sort of stuff. But man, it's just, it's the luck of the draw sometimes, and you just got to roll with the punches.
So what is it? You don't fall into the fast twitch category?
Definitely not. My body's just bruised and battered every week, so it's I don't get the fast twitched injuries.
Another one that's come through here a little bit on the text machine, Mitch, and I'm picking one out here from Paul, just says, can you please ask Mitch who his rugby league idols were growing up and who he models his game after?
Oh God, I didn't really have any real idols sort of growing up in rugby league. I liked a lot of sort of players, but I didn't really model my game off anyone. And the other one I could sort of think of off the top of my head was I liked Jared Hargraves a fair bit. I told him that the other day after the game we played them, after they beat us, but just didn't know if I'd get the opportunity to sort of play against him again. Obviously going overseas and that sort of thing. So that's probably one that sort of comes to the front of my mind.
You remind me of a Luke O'Donnell. I feel like you're cut from that cloth. Remember Luke O'Donnell? A little bit crazy.
Good stuff. Hey, Mitch, really appreciate you jumping on, mate. I know you guys have got a busy week ahead. Dolphins at home on Sunday. Then you get a bye. Finally, we get a bye in there, and the bodies can get a little bit extra R&R ready to go in round 30, mate. So good luck this week. Good luck with the preparations, and we'll talk again soon.
Thanks, boys. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
There you go.
Legend.
Mitch
Cheers,
Barnett, Warriors, like I said, Jello, what do you call him a second row? Do you call him a prop? What do you call him? Utility.
I think he has a good point. He made the point that his body type has now become the modern day prop.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think he fits that mold very well.
So it's an interesting one. Just before we get to our final break, so I agree. Yeah, that is what the modern day prop looks like. What is the modern day second rower for you?
Oh man,
Is it an Ola Kawatu? Is it a Britain Nikara?
I think you have to have variation. I think you got to have a big guy like a Ola Kawatu. I don't think you could have two Ola Kawatus.
No.
Melbourne kind of do with Blort
Katoa.
and Katoa, kind of. But I think John Bateman, he's a very good back rower. Isaiah
he's sort of transitioning to 13 now, though, Bateman as well.
Yeah, everyone can kind of chop and change.
That's
Even Isaiah Papali'i, because he plays 13 as well for the Tigers.
Yeah, he
was a really good back rower.
Yeah, see, it's interesting because the back row in particular has this varied size, doesn't it? A lot of the other positions are very almost stock standard, but you get to that and all this stuff. The one thing that you are basically seeing disappear altogether is that big, like Josh Papali'i is almost the last one, but even he's slimmed down a lot, right? That sort of big bopper front rower.
Yeah, well, even Fisher Harris, like someone like that, he's like 108 kg.
Yeah.
Like, that's not that heavy compared to like the big...
Joey Tarpany. I mean, Joey Tarpany is not a prop by like size standards.
Yeah.
He's a second rower and a lock, but he plays in the front row. So.
And then you got someone like Payne Haas, who I think is an absolute freak.
He's an animal.
To be that big and that fast and that fit to play the minutes that he does.
And that agile, although, broke his toe and then he came back and continued to play. He is a specimen. We will take a break. When we come back, we'll have a look at some of the other games this round in round 12 before we finish out the show at 3 o'clock. We are coming up 5 minutes away from 3 p.m. here on Running It Straight, just before we get to round 12 and have a look at some of the other games. Jello's got an interesting exercise. Now, I asked people to write or text through their all-time 13 based off the first letter of their first name. Have you done your A's yet?
Nah, I want to do it properly.
Do it properly this week, and everyone else can do it properly because we're going to revisit this next Wednesday. Jello's also got another one he wants us to play, and we're going to actually do this over the course of the next 13 weeks, okay? He wants us to pick a character from the Simpsons and where we would put them in a Rugby League 13. And we're going to pick a player every week over the next 13 weeks, fill all the positions. Jello, you can't have 13 props. And then we'll come up with a team at the end, towards the end of the season. So do you want to go first or me?
I'll go first.
Okay, please do.
Okay, so I'm going to go with...
Are you starting what position?
I'm going with a prop forward.
Okay.
He's a big body.
Yep. $1 million signing.
He's a powerhouse.
Yep.
And he loves a beer. Barney Gumble.
Hiya, Homer. Can you just give that?
And that's all my team's about too.
Can you give that to me again as well? Can you give me like a bit of a rugby league sort of term within the voice?
Oh,
yeah, I think it's straight. Maybe. Why are you thinking of that? I'm also going to go to the front row, and I think you've gone Barney because we had Mitch Barnett on. I'm going to go to the front row, and I'm going to go and specifically the number 8. Okay, I'm going to save the 10 for another player. Nelson Mandela Muntz. His middle name's Mandela, don't you do that? Nelson Muntz. The reason why is obviously Nelson is off Solomona, but also you need a bully. You need a bully in the front row, Jello.
Well, I'll tell you what, Barney Gumble's going to bully Nelson Muntz.
I don't know though. You're talking size there. Nelson's he's creative. You know, we're talking.
I think that, hey, it's your team. It's your
team.
He'll
get round the back of him.
It's your
maybe
team. You're the coach.
Give him a wedgie.
Hey,
you watch a lot of The Simpsons.
You're the coach. I think Nelson Muntz is a ball player. If he was in my team on this side of the fence, he'd be playing 13.
Nah, because I want him. I need the mongrel in the front row.
Have you seen him play quarterback?
No, I haven't seen that.
You missed that episode. He's gone. Man.
Okay, well,
he can sling.
I don't mind a ball playing prop.
Okay.
Or spin and turn and give. You know, what do they call it? Hit and spin or whatever. Hit and spin. He'd love a hit and spin. Right, so there you go. I'm starting with Nelson Muntz. You're starting with Barney, and those two are off the table. Moving forward, I can't then pick Barney on the other side. Okay,
none of that.
Okay, I've got to get creative.
Speaking of Barney, before we run out of time, can I just say, I think if he was a Queenslander, he would have been picked already. And I think Queensland are better at selecting players, and that's why they win every year.
Well, I do have a first-year coach, though, Madge. Like, I wonder if he's just making sure he gets it right. Bulldogs Dragons tomorrow night, 9:50. What a game!
Bulldogs will be in the top 8. If they didn't drop that one to Canberra, they would be in the top 8.
I agree, and I think they are moving towards a top 8 team, maybe right on the fringes. Cowboys West Tigers, Friday 8 p.m.
I'm going Cowboys. I think they'll score enough. I don't think the Tigers got the points in it.
I don't know about that one, actually. That's tossing up a curveball.
Tigers got no centres, so they got Caesar, Olam, and Naden all suspended. Yeah. So
Caesar's playing in the halves, though.
Huh?
Caesar's been playing in the halves.
Yeah, I know, but they've got no Caesar, no half in Caesar, and the two centres have got a debutant. This guy doesn't even have a picture on.
Oh, you know,
on the database.
You can't click on his profile, then you're in trouble. Seagull Storm Friday night, 10 p.m.
I think this could be the upset of the round. I'm going to go Seagulls at Brookie.
I don't think so. I think without Tommy, they're just missing a bit of attack. We saw that against the Broncos.
Yeah.
But Storm without Munster, you might be onto something. I almost want to sit on the fence there, but I will say.
No, you've turned me. I think
Storm.
If there's going to be one upset of the round, it's going to be Raiders beating the Roosters.
Wow, Saturday 5 p.m.
Yep.
Off the back of that Sharks loss.
Actually, no, Joey Manu's back.
Yeah, and I think the Roosters are hurting after losing to the Sharks. So I think they do.
It's so hard to call these games.
Good,
NRL's a nightmare to pick.
That's what you want, and they're getting to that point of season where it gets harder and harder. Sharks, Panthers, Saturday 7:30. How about that?
I think the Sharkies,
You think they do it?
They look good. They've
going.
been on a really good run. By the law of averages, do they drop a game? Perhaps if they were going to drop one, it would be the Panthers.
Interesting. The Panthers, really trying to wrestle back the top of the table sort of tag as well. Rabbitohs Eels, 9:35 Saturday. Battle of the fresh coaches.
Yeah, fresh coach power. I'm going with the Eels for that one, though.
Broncos Titans, 4 p.m. Sunday.
Bronx.
And Warriors Dolphins Sunday.
Up the wires, baby!
Right, there you go. Nice and easy. Good, quick round preview there for us. That's us for running it straight for another week. Big shout out to Mitch Barnett for jumping on. If you missed that, you can go catch it on our podcast channels. The Run Home coming up next with Kim and Beeve. We will be back next Wednesday for another episode of Running It Straight from 2 p.m. Catch you then.
SENZ. It's Kiwi for sport.